Hey guys, I'm Sierra from Moon Honey Doula, and this is Let's Talk About It, the Doula edition. No, didn't work. Okay, I'm gonna find something. I'm gonna find something that works. Stay tuned. I am gonna talk to you today about the questions that you should ask at your consultation, at your interview, when you are considering hiring a doula. So, oh, are you wondering why I'm all dolled up? I did the Don't Rush challenge today, and it's not as fresh because I had tacos. And I'm really glad that I looked in the mirror because there was a whole little lipstick line right here. Um, Neither here nor there. Just, transparency. But yeah, I did the Don't Rush challenge today. By the time this video comes out, the challenge will be up. So you guys will have seen it, hopefully. If you haven't, and I was like, I'm not wasting this makeup. So this video is impromptu. I'm going to try my best to stay under this 15-minute limit that IGTV has me under. But see, I lost my train of thought. This is what happens when I don't do I'm a Virgo, guys. I like to. And what are we talking about? Oh, the questions. So I'm going to provide you with not a list because the lists are there. You can Google those. I'm not a fan of recreating content that's already there. But I am going to talk to you from a doula's perspective about some things that you could consider. Yeah. I'm just going to start doing it. It'll make sense. So, first thing. Please, 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 please make sure that you leave some room to allow the process to happen organically, okay? Lots of decisions to make when you're preparing to have a baby. So many decisions. It can be really overwhelming. It's not something to take lightly. But hiring a doula is a very intimate and a very personal experience. So if you approach it with your guard up and you're not being your true self, it's very difficult for you to focus on how you feel in the presence of that doula. So have your questions ready, but also allow the conversation to be organic. Talk to one another. Give each other the opportunity for the doula to get to know you, the doula to get to know your partner. Just really allow that organic energy, and then you will find your answer. You will find your answer because somebody can look great on paper. They can answer your questions perfectly, but how do they make you feel? That is what matters, okay? Also, you may have heard that. My little brother is on PlayStation, and he's got those headphones on, little microphone, and he's talking to his friends. So when he does that, he just gets louder and louder. So, apologies in advance if you hear some very enthusiastic background noise. It's just like, it's keeping things spicy. Okay, so first question, most favorite question. Why did you become a doula? Please ask them that. One, I love telling people why I became a doula because it's a passionate profession. Like, I love it. And I will not tell you my story right now because we don't have time for that. I was about to try, but we don't have time for that. But please give them a chance. And it also gives you a chance to see why they do what they do, why they love it, how they may be able to support you. Okay? Next question. This one's a racy one. How many births have you attended? I feel like I need sound effects. Dum, da, da, dum. So a lot of the articles that I Googled to research this very quickly before I did this impromptu video, they all have that question on there. There was really only one that I found that gave a great explanation for it. But for the most part, it comes off as if you're asking this doula how many births they've attended, and it equates to how valuable they are. So I want to say that it's not a bad question to ask. It's a great question to ask. But why are you asking it? Okay? You might be looking for a certifying doula who is charging a little bit less. Some doulas do that. Some doulas, when they first start, they charge a little bit less, a lower rate to get more practice in. Some do. think he's winning though. Some doulas don't, but look at it like this: you train for something, you have the training, and then you start to do it. Depending, like if we were talking about like a corporate job, right? So you might have done an internship, so you might have a little bit of experience, the projects and things that you did while you were in college and stuff like that. And then when you get there, even though you have an entry level position, you still start out with a salary, right? Some people, some doulas will start out charging market rate, like what the other people in their areas are charging. But if you are looking for a more affordable doula, then you could look for one of those doulas who are still training, still certifying. And again, this does not mean that you're going to have a less valuable experience. The one article that I did find that did a good job of breaking down this question, and she's doing it from a parent's perspective. She said, our doula is a student, but she was awesome. And so, for lack of better phrases, either you have it or you don't. Either they have it or they do not. I mean, look at me. My first birth was when I was 16, before I was a doula, before I did any training, before I had any sort of understanding of what the birth was educationally or technically. So you can imagine the look on my face that I had to very quickly cover up when they pulled out the scissors. I was traumatized, and I just kept looking back and forth. This is a little side note, a little tidbit, but I literally just kept looking back and forth. My friend, she had an epidural, that's whose birth I attended. I was looking at the scissors, and I was looking at the doctor, and then I would look at my friend, and I was looking at the scissors, and I would look at my friend, and I was just like, she don't feel that. Wow, I didn't know they did that in birth. So I'm literally panicking. But I love birth. So I was just happy to be there. And I was just happy that, because I was the third person, I was just happy they didn't kick me out. So, she had no idea any of that was going on. I kept my cool. I had my doula face on. And my feedback was, oh my goodness, you kept me so calm. Like, everything you did kept me so calm. I didn't have any training, any experience. I just jumped right into it. So I'm saying that to say that the number of births that a person has attended does not equate their value or how well they can support you. Now I'm be honest. I've learned some things. I know some of you watching the video like, what? She lying? I'm not lying. I feel that I served my very first family post training just as well as I've served my most recent family. And the feedback is the same. My first family doesn't feel like, oh, I really wish you had been to a couple of more births before you, came and, what is it called? Attended my birth, supported me through birth. They didn't say that. You know what I mean? So things I have learned. What snacks work? Birth-friendly snacks. Because I always have my doula bag with me. I had the audacity to go to an event one day in my mom's car, because my mom's car is fancy, and didn't put my doula bag in the car because I was like, she not due for 2 more weeks. Troubles on me. Always wear a long sleeve shirt. Always wear clothes that you can get wet. Always have a change of clothes. Always have your water bottle with you. Oh, they don't mind if I use their like, those are the things that I've learned by attending births. Not to mention that I have been a doula in 2 countries. So the different policies from one country to another. But it's not like I was like, oh, wow, like, oh, I'm going to do this at my next birth. That's what my training was for. And that's what my shadowing was for when I was shadowing people. So saying this to say, it's not a bad question to ask, but you got to know why you're asking it. And don't be surprised if a new doula gets a little uncomfortable answering the question, because it does kind of feel like you're asking me the question just to see, like this might be the deciding factor on whether or not I get hired. If they're for you, they're for you. And if they're not, they're not. Everybody's different. But, that is something for you to be aware of. moving on. There are different types of doulas and there are different types of trainings. So always ask, regardless of what type of birth you want to have, always ask, okay, how can you support me? Simple question, let them answer. And then you follow that up by asking, what if I have an epidural? What if I have a cesarean? Or any other, like say for instance, you have had a baby already. And with your first baby, you had back labor, right? Oh, my back labor was really bad with my first pregnancy. So if that happens again, I'm really interested in some comfort measures and some natural ways to relieve that. How can you help me? Great question to ask because it gives them an opportunity, and I'll talk about that later, gives them an opportunity to show you what they're made of, you know? And so the later part, excuse me guys, it's the tacos. The later part, keep in mind that not everybody is good under pressure. So part of that organic conversation, that organic atmosphere, it does take the pressure off. It does. It takes the pressure off, and it allows you to really be able to see them for who they are. Okay? Pull up my list of questions and see what else we have. Oh, good question to ask. How long do you stay with us after the baby is born? Most doulas stay as long as you want, and I will tell you now, I've only had one birth where I've stayed past like an hour. And that was because in that particular situation, the baby had to go to the NICU, and I usually stay until I can help initiate breastfeeding. And so when the baby came back, everything was clear. We tried to initiate breastfeeding. He wasn't having it, not that night. But most times, first-time moms would like me to stay until then, and then they kind of want you to back away, let them have their intimate moment, you know, bow out gracefully, and check with them later. I've had people 20 minutes, 15 minutes later, like, all right, you can go. Like, you know, but how long I'm willing to stay, for me, it's until we're able to initiate breastfeeding. If you're not interested in breastfeeding and you're comfortable and you don't need anything else from me and you want me to go, please don't be afraid to ask. It's okay. It is okay. But usually about an hour or two, sometimes 30 minutes, just really depending on what you need. But that's a good question to ask. Let's see. What services do you offer? Great question, because we doulas do a lot of things. You know what I mean? We usually have postpartum services. Sometimes we have prenatal services. Some offer lactation support. Some offer placenta encapsulation. So ask about what other services they offer, and it can be a one-stop shop. And even if they're not a one-stop shop, they probably have a resource list or people that they go to that they can put you in touch with, or they can be the point person, the middleman, for lack of better words. You know, good question to ask. Another great question to ask is the breakdown of their fees. Now, most doulas are about the same. You pay a deposit of sorts, like a portion of the full fee, and then you settle the rest of the balance at a later date. Everybody has different rules about that. It should be outlined in their contract. I would always recommend that you take a look at the contract before you do the consultation. I think it helps to answer a lot of questions, first of all. And if you have questions about the contract, it gives you an opportunity to ask them then. But asking about how they set up their fees, when fees are due, if they offer payment plans, if they charge a fee for their payment plans, and also asking when they go on call. Also different. Most people is usually about 2 weeks before the 40-week due date. But it's a good question to ask. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, what is the process when I go into labor? So that's a great question to ask, because you want to have a good understanding of what that day is going to look like. And of course, you guys will go over it in the prenatal meeting in depth, but it's good to just chat with them and see how that goes. Guys, I am out of time, but that was all I had for you. So let me know if you have any questions or comments below. Thank you for checking it out, and I'll see you again soon.